Hey there, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Mel and I love to share cooking videos on this channel. This week I thought it would be fun to make a video using string cheese in some different recipes. I've had this string cheese for a while and I really honestly just wanted to use it up. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what I made. Starting today's video off, we're going to make these stuffed brats. To begin with this one, I just went ahead and sliced up about 8 ounces of mushrooms. I think I was actually probably closer to 6 ounces because I had a few that were bad. And then I sliced up half of a yellow onion and I sliced up 1 green bell pepper. These are the brats that I'm going to be using today. They are beer brats, but you could use any flavor you want to really. And with these, I'm going to go ahead and just slice them right down the center and then kind of make room in the center for that cheese stick. And then just add that cheese stick right there in the center. And you'll just want to move that sausage around to fit all around that cheese stick and try to close it back up the best you can. I added those into my air fryer just like this, and then these are going to cook in there on 370 for about 8 to 10 minutes until they're fully cooked. Now over to my skillet, I'm adding in a tablespoon of butter and about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to let that heat up and then we're going to add our mushrooms, onion, and green pepper right in there. And to season this today, I'm using this Blackstone whiskey burger seasoning and only adding just a little bit. I don't want to make these super overpowering, but I definitely want them to still have flavor. So maybe a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon of that. If you don't have this seasoning, then you can of course add another seasoning. I would just use some type of burger seasoning. This took about 10 minutes for them to all get really tender and get some good color to them. For my buns, I do have these brioche hot dog buns. We're going to use those. I like brioche buns better than just regular buns. And once the brat is done, you'll just add that right in there. Feel free to toast your buns also if you like to do that. I didn't really worry about doing that this night. And some of the cheese did pop out a little bit, not too bad. It still mostly stayed in there. Over top, I'm just topping it with the mushroom, onion, and bell pepper, and that's all you need to do for this recipe. My husband absolutely loved these. I've made stuffed brats before, but not using string cheese, but these were so tasty. As you can see, that cheese was super stringy, but wow, it was so good. I would definitely make these again. Next, we're going to make this stuffed crust pizza. This is definitely a childhood favorite. I used to love when the school lunches would have pizza day with stuffed crust pizza. It was the best day. So for my crust, I'm just using these crust mix from Walmart. You can also make your own, or you can use the one in the can if you want to. It's really up to you, but I'm just following the directions on those packages and getting this crust ready to go. While I'm waiting on that crust to finish setting up, I am going to go ahead and start with my cheese sticks. To make this easier to go around in a circle, I'm cutting them all in half. That way they can be more rounded off when they do go into the crust. With my crust, I'm just going to stretch it out onto this pizza pan. Try to get it as evenly as possible and stretch it as far as you can without having holes in it. I do apologize, the video does get a little bit blurry here, but all I'm doing is just taking those small pieces of cheese stick and adding them all the way around in a circle. And once you get them in there, you'll just fold the crust over, press it together, and try to make it so that when the cheese does melt, it doesn't spill out of the crust. I also want to mention for all 4 of these recipes, I am using whole milk mozzarella cheese sticks. I think the whole milk ones are much more creamier and the cheese melts a lot better. But like I said, it's very important that you get those really tucked in that crust and press the crust down onto the bottom part of the crust to make sure that they do not spill out while cooking. Before we add our sauce on here, I do want to go ahead and just season up my crust a little bit. So over top of that, I'm just sprinkling on a little bit of garlic powder and oregano. Once it's nice and seasoned, I did add my pizza sauce on. Just make sure you spread that out really good and do not add it on top of the crust. On top of my sauce, I also added some red pepper flakes, but that's just because we like a little bit of spice. That's definitely not necessary though. And of course, you can make this pizza any way you want to. You can use whatever cheeses you want, whatever toppings. Today, I'm just adding some mozzarella cheese. And again, I'm using the whole milk mozzarella cheese. That's my favorite because I think it's a lot creamier and melts down a lot better. I added about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. After I added all my cheese, of course, next we're going to add some pepperoni. I prefer to use turkey pepperoni because it's a lot less greasy and a lot easier on your stomach. If you have problems with eating a lot of grease, this is a much better option. And then for 1/2 of the pizza, my husband requested some jalapenos, so I went ahead and added those on. Over top of everything, I did sprinkle it with just a little bit more garlic powder and oregano, and then I stuck this in the oven to bake on 400 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes until my pizza crust had cooked all the way through in the center. Here it is coming out of the oven. As you can see, there were a few spots my mozzarella did end up spilling out, but it's truly not a big deal. Just do your best to kind of conceal it the best you can. And then this is what my plate looked like. This pizza is so simple, easy to do, a lot cheaper than ordering out, and this cheesy crust is absolutely delicious. Next, we're making these chicken bacon ranch crescent rolls. These are really good. I actually just made these for a lunch one day and they were perfect for us. The very first thing I did was cook up some bacon, and I only cooked 4 slices because you need a 1/2 slice of bacon per crescent roll. Once my bacon cooled down, I was ready to start building these. You'll also just need 1 package of crescent rolls. You'll need cheese sticks, and I actually just cut those in half again. It made it a lot easier for these to fit them properly. And you'll also need some chicken deli meat. And for these, all you'll need to do is take your crescent roll, add your lunch meat to the bottom. I just folded it in half so it would fit a little bit better. And then you'll add in your 1/2 piece of string cheese, 1/2 slice of bacon, and roll it right up. I added these onto a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and they baked in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until they were nice and golden brown. To serve these, you'll just want to add some ranch dressing into a little cup to dip them in, and that's really all there is to these. They're very simple, very quick, and definitely very filling as well. Probably not the most healthiest lunch you could have, but they were delicious and we really enjoyed them. Last but not least, we're making this string cheese manicotti, and I was honestly shocked how good this turned out to be. I started by preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and then I chopped up 1/2 of a yellow onion. Over to my skillet, I added 1 pound of ground beef, and I also added in that onion and just let those two cook together. Once that was done, I did just drain off the extra grease, and I'm also going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. I also added in some seasonings, about a half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes just to add a little spice, and a couple shakes of black pepper. I gave that a good mix before adding in my sauce. I added in 1 jar of spaghetti sauce, and I also had a little bit left in another jar from when we made pizza a few nights ago. And then you see me dump in a little bit more. That's just where I added water into my spaghetti jar, shook it up, and then added that in there so I wouldn't waste anything. And then I also just wanted to finish up this little bit of spinach that was in this bag in the freezer. It was almost pointless to keep in the freezer, so I figured I'd add it in here and not waste it. If you want to add spinach, I would just add a little bit. I only added not even a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach in here. While all that was simmering and cooking up, I went ahead and boiled up my manicotti noodles. With this meal, I did want to make some homemade garlic bread, so right here in this little bowl I have 3 tablespoons of butter, 1 teaspoon of oregano, a half teaspoon of garlic, and a couple shakes of salt. I just went ahead and microwaved that until it melted down. And I had 1 sub bun left in the refrigerator. Again, I like to not waste things if I can, so I wanted to turn this into a homemade garlic bread. I thought it would be perfect for this dinner. I just went ahead and sliced my sub bun in half and covered it completely with that butter and seasoning mixture. Once that was covered, I did add it into the oven for about 7 to 8 minutes until it was crunchy on the edges. Now to get started on our manicotti, I have my little 8x8 pan here. You do not need to spray the bottom or anything. Just add in a few spoonfuls of your meat and sauce mixture. I just spread that around to make sure the bottom was completely covered. And then this is so easy. You're just going to add 1 cheese stick into each manicotti noodle just like this. Once they were all filled with the cheese sticks, I went ahead and just added the rest of my meat sauce right on the top. Just make sure you spread it around so it is covering all of the noodles, that way the noodles don't get hard in the oven. I went ahead and baked this for about 20 minutes in the oven. That should be plenty of time to get all that cheese melted in there. After 20 minutes, I did pull it out, and now we're going to cover the top. I'm just adding 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. I also added just a little handful of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese and a pinch of this parsley, that way it could melt into the cheese in the oven. I just stuck that back in the oven for about 5 minutes to make sure the cheese melted, and that's really all there was to this meal. This is what it looked like coming out of the oven. You can see the string cheese there melted really nicely. And then this is what the garlic bread looked like coming out. Very simple, easy. I just added some Parmesan on top of that as well. And then here is what my plate looked like with the manicotti and the garlic bread. The cheese inside this manicotti turned out so nicely. I added a lot of stuff into my sauce, but that's just because there was not a lot of flavor coming from the center of the manicotti noodles, since it was just cheese in there. But altogether, this turned out so delicious, and I would definitely make it again. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a flower down below so I can see that you did. And I just want to say thank you for watching today, and I really truly hope I'll see you back here on Sunday with a new video. Bye guys.